there, welcome, what's up? I hope you've had a wonderful week. Today I am very excited because I am going to be sharing my contour routine with you. This is something that I do from day to day. This is a simple routine. There's nothing complex about it. There's no cream products involved. All I'm going to be using is a simple bronzer. So without any delays, let's jump right into this video. As you can see, my face looks pretty flat right now, but that's okay. That's simply because we haven't applied any bronzing or contouring powders. And that's because I'm about to share my technique with you. So very quickly, let's go over contouring. And people usually do that to highlight certain areas of their face and create shadows in other parts of it. Of course, that is to enhance our features, to highlight and create shadows where we want them. That is to make our face look more symmetrical. That's the purpose of contouring. Now, very quickly, nowadays, contouring has become a very complex process. I remember when I was a little girl, my mom taught me how to apply makeup with my fingers. She just taught me how to apply foundation with my fingers and just to powder up my face super quickly. The process was simple. Nowadays we use 410 million brushes, and of course the process appears very complex. But for an everyday basis, my technique is extremely simple. I do not cream contour, I simply use powders. So without any delays, let me jump you right into the demo so that I can show you how I do my everyday contouring. Very quickly, when it comes to bronzing and contouring, there's a ton of tools you can use, and this usually depends on preference. Personally, I use 3 kinds of brush pretty much all the time. When I'm going to do a quick bronze, I like to use this brush by e.l.f. And this is just a very nice brush, and it just perfectly fits on your cheek, and it just applies your bronzer very nice and quickly. It's a very soft, pretty, and efficient brush. This one right here is another one of the brushes I usually apply my contour colors with. And this is a smaller brush. This is more precise, and it leaves a little bit more color as you apply the product on your face. It's also very soft, and it's also very pleasant to use. My favorite tool for contouring is this right here, and this is the brush that comes on the Benefit Hoola bronzer. I adore this brush. I kept it. I keep it every time that I buy a bronzer simply because this brush is very useful to me. This just makes the process very simple and easy. Of course, if you don't have something like this, if you don't have the Benefit bronzer, that's completely fine. Anything like this will work, but to me, in my perspective, this just makes the contouring game just that much simpler. One of the first lines that people like to create when it comes to contouring is around this area right here. And the line that they like to create, of course, serves a purpose to lift up the cheekbone, to mark this area right here, so that, of course, that feature can be enhanced. So some people make the fishy face to find their placement and their mark. Some people are just naturally blessed with pretty marked cheekbones, and others, my personal preferred method is I measure from the top of my ear to the corner of my mouth, and usually that's where that line should go. That's where that line usually naturally marks itself. So therefore, that's where I usually place my contouring line. I am going to be using the brush that comes on the Benefit Hoola bronzer, but I am going to apply the Marc Jacobs Tantastic bronzer simply because the shade for this bronzer is cooler. And when it comes to contouring, you don't want anything too warm. The Benefit Hoola is a nice contouring shade, but personally I prefer something cooler. Something like this shade right here. Dun 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 dun! So we are about to create our first contouring shadow. And as you can see, I'm just trying to blend the product out. I'm basically just moving the brush up and down, and I'm shaking it all around. And then of course, one of the other areas I decide to contour is my forehead, simply because, yeah, I do have a pretty nicely sized forehead. And then I just mark the lines on my nose, just the sides basically. And then just right there on my chin. And as you can see, that right there just completely makes a difference. A big difference. Sometimes when we are contouring or bronzing, we get a little too excited and the product just ends up going everywhere, just everywhere. In my perspective right now on this personal occasion, on this look as I was working, I feel like the product is a little messy. It doesn't look as sharp as it could look. And for that reason, I am going to go in with my Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder. I'm going to apply it on this small sponge, and I'm simply going to sharpen the line underneath the contouring shade, so that of course that area can look cleaner, nicer, and sharper. And then right now I'm going to leave this powder there for about 4 to 5 minutes. I'm going to let it bake so that of course this area can be a little more highlighted, and so that my contour line can be more defined and marked. And of course, what you do to one side, you do to the other. And I'm simply trying to mark the line, and then I'm just slowly blending the product out. And then of course I do it to the side of my nose. And then I mark the tip. Then I slowly blend the product towards the top. And then of course I apply the bronzer on my forehead. And this is supposed to make my forehead look smaller. It's supposed to create, of course, shadows in the top. This just marks your bone structure a little more. Just a little bit, just a little bit. And then I just simply mark the line and I let it bake for a bit. Then I'm going to place a little bit of that banana color in the center of my nose, and then just around it, simply so that I can add some powder and some mattifying power to that area. And a little highlight doesn't hurt anybody. And this of course is how I usually contour and highlight. Right now I'm simply going over my bronzer with my powder brush because I went a little happy with it. I'm not gonna lie. Looks a little intense. It looks more intense on camera than on person, just on my defense, but it looks a little intense. So very quickly, I'm just gonna wait about 4 minutes. I'm gonna let the yellow banana powder just bake a little bit. And then I'm simply going to dust it off, and I'll see you in a very, very short while, my friend. Now I'm just going to dust off the powders. And there you have it. For highlight, I am going to be applying Opal by Becca. And I'm simply going to apply the product on the tops of my cheekbones. And very quickly, I just want to explain that first I apply the highlight and then the blush, simply because I feel like that makes everything look more seamless, more married together. And sometimes when you apply the highlight after the blush, it makes it look streaky. You can see the lines of the highlight. I feel like the blush kind of balances that out. And there is the highlight. For blush, I am going to be applying MAC Sunbask. And I'm simply going to apply the blush on the apples of my cheeks. And of course, I'm going to blend it towards the contour area just so that everything can look put together. And then usually I apply some blush on my temples just so that everything can blend in a little better. Usually when you get burned, you also get a little bit of that flush all over your face. My dad used to mark that on me every time when we would go to the beach and I was a little girl. And then very quickly, I'm just going to go over everything with my powder brush one more time. And of course, the brush has no additional product. This is just for my personal peace of mind. I feel like if the highlight looks streaky, this process helps. I am going to apply the Milani Make It Last. And I'm simply going to spray this on my face. And what I love about this is a very fine, just wonderful smelling mist. And then of course it makes your face feel pretty bomb, pretty refreshed. Here you have the complete look. And as you can see, both the contour and the highlight stand out a ton. And we didn't do much. We simply applied powders, a simple process. We didn't involve creams, just the powder. We've come to the end of this video. Hopefully you found it helpful or interesting. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell button for notifications. Leave your comments and requests down below. Follow me on Instagram. I'll see you around next time. Have a very lovely day or a very beautiful night. Goodbye.